Hi Scorpio, welcome to your Aquarius new moon cycle art channeling. So I'm going to move my drawing utensils over here. Okay, and a couple things. Firstly, I am recording this on the Aquarius new moon partial solar eclipse. So talk about imbued with the energy. This is it. And I used to do this sometimes when I was doing the alchemy scopes a little while back. Although you get the videos later, it imbues the reading with the energies, you know. So actually we're only a couple hours off, actually an hour and a half off of the point of the new moon. So you're getting a lot of juice here, okay? So let's tap in. I'm going to, as I did last month, I'm going to let images come, let images, pictures, symbols, forms arise, and we'll just see what is. I mean, essentially, the intention of these, let me just be really clear, the intention of these is to tap into the natural cycle for Scorpio. So what is the evolutionary narrative for the psycho-ego construct? Because everybody's on their natural evolutionary path. And you have a distinct chart with a very distinct encoding. It has a particular symbol, it's at a certain degree point, it has all kinds of very distinct individual aspects to it. That's very critical. But for the collective, though, if we're looking for a generalized narrative of the ego construct for Scorpio, what is its natural evolutionary cycle? That's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing here. Let's see what wants to come, Scorp. And I really do let these come in the moment. Like I don't plan these in advance at all. And it's fast. I love kind of just letting them come. Now, one thing that I'll tell you is that this last month I got some new colors, which was so fun. Went to the art store, got some new colors, got my new pad of paper. For those that would like to support these monthly scopes, my Patreon link is below. For $2 a month, you could just be wonderfully helpful to help me supply these materials. For those that want to check out the benefits to being a patron at a greater level, there are some exceedingly good offerings in there. Especially for this year, a lot of people are struggling a bit and are wanting some support. Scorp. So I'm going to just tune in here. You are invited to grab a glass of wine, a cup of tea, a bit of coffee, whatever you like, and just tap in. And then we'll talk about the images. One thing that I'll say is that I'm burning some Palo Santo right now. I had a wonderful patron and client of mine, actually. I met with her before I ended up relocating back east, and she gave me this wonderful package of Palo Santo, and I love it. And it turns out that the place that I ended up moving to, the person who owned the homestead, he also would burn Palo Santo. Pretty funny. Anyway, but it's pretty amazing, everybody. If you haven't smelled it yet, I encourage you to get some. It's really, really healing. Scorp, what's coming for you? One thing that I'll say, Scorp, I mean, there's several things that I'd like to say. One thing is that my left arm is feeling really jittery. So my body talks to me because I ask it to. So I do that with clients as well. So whatever is coming through, I pay attention to it because it's a message. So I'm feeling a lot of what's the term? It's like the nerves are shaken in my left side. The left side is operated by the right brain. Right brain is the one that is mostly responsible, indicated as being mostly responsible for holistic seeing, long view seeing, intuitive emotional responses, able to understand story and symbol. All of this that I'm doing right here, this is all right brain kind of, or at least predominantly, let's say, right brain oriented. But anyway, the right brain does govern the right side or the left side of the body. So it could be, Scorp, that over the course of this Aquarius new moon cycle, mid-February to mid-March 2018, that there might be some emotional, some intuitive energies that rattle you or that are intense, let's say. Okay? So, watch the body. Watch the body. And I say that to everybody because Jupiter, of course, with its transit in Scorpio, is intensifying the intensity. It's expanding the dive. And so for Scorpios, for all of us it's intense, but for Scorpios there is there's a growth. I mean, there's a real significant, authentic, deep dive into your ego structure, really. And because of this very dynamic Aquarius new moon, by the way, which I've posted a video on. So if you haven't had a chance, by the time you see this video, if you haven't watched it, go onto my main channel page and you'll see the video for the Aquarius new moon partial solar eclipse that is occurring in the now and feeding your month ahead cycle, or it's certainly part of it. But also it's the Chinese New Year of the dog that I go into. So I invite you to go listen to that because there's some powerful aspects happening right now and for the next 6 months and for the next 18-19 year cycle as well. It's a big shift and change portal. 2018 is a maturation year. We are to heed the call, be brave and courageous in owning all of our stuff, all of it. And so Jupiter in Scorpio is, of course, exacerbating all of that. It's feeding the natural evolutionary cycle. So Scorpios, because of that aspect, Scorpios are growing, expanding. They'll become much more vocal and in the news. There's going to be more of a fame orientation. You know, you're gonna step into your own, essentially, more so than ever before, this year and beyond. So it can be nerve shaking. It can alter the nervous system, and that's okay. It's all right. Just be mindful. Do some cleanses. Drink more water. I was talking to the generalized population in those readings about, indeed, this is a very, very good time to do cleanses. I've started one. It's actually not full on. For Lent, I'm using the Lent portal to cleanse, and it feels very appropriate to do it for a variety of reasons. So I invite you to tap into that for yourself and see if that feels resonant. I just got a Scorp. Oh gosh. So let me just finish and then I'll I'll talk about what's coming. Oh. So I am sending you all so much love. You know, it's a very dynamic time. Very, this year will test us with regards to how far we've come and how far we're willing to go. Getting very, very, very real. Seeing things very truthfully. No more self-delusion. Lots of people rely on being self-deluded and staying self-deluded. I've met too many people in the last year who love to stay self-deluded. These are people in my field, not clients. But in the general population, that's certainly the case. We can see it all over the news. Self-delusion is, can be addictive. And the funny thing is, everybody, when we just allow ourselves to see all of ourselves, it's not scary. It's not nearly as scary as we've made it, you know. Where did my green go? Here it is. It's not nearly as scary as we've made it to be in our minds. So getting real is just the name of the game. And as a rule, Scorpios can go there. Because there's a natural inclination to do that. There's a desire to go deep into the depths of transformation and the depths of self, which will serve you well, very well. It's necessary. Scorp, this is very interesting. I'm not done. Let me just tune in for a little bit. Very interesting. Okay. So you're going to hear a dog in the background. And last month, I mean, I have dogs here at the house where I'm currently living, but it's interesting because last month, the only dog barking really that was heard was in one of the scopes. And for you, you're hearing the dog. So it's during the Scorpio rendering that you're getting the dog. So listen, this is the year of the dog, right? The Chinese year of the Earth dog starts essentially today at the new moon, but the Chinese festival begins tomorrow, which is Friday the 16th. Hopefully this will be up by the time, you know, you're going to get this over that weekend. But the point is that dog barking is showing up here, and that also is imbued here for you, okay? It's not happening for all of these signs. So it is the year of the Earth dog, and dog imbues qualities such as loyalty, friendliness, socialness, a social ability, and also a protective nature that, if not kept grounded and balanced, can go into, you know, overprotection, for example. And almost over loyalty. But those qualities of dog are imbued in the drawing. What I told Taurus, I think it was either Taurus or Aries in their reading, is, of course, anybody can channel. So what I'm doing is, I think because I have an orientation, my mind has an orientation of deep trust. I know that my psyche serves me. So what comes is functional. It's valuable. I don't dismiss it. So because I realize the deep beauty and functionality of the images that come to my psyche, I allow them. And I trust. So it allows me to just tap in. But everybody is a channel by their nature. You are a channel. You can channel your art, you can channel whatever it is that wants to come. So Scorpio, this is a very interesting reading. I don't even know how to read it, to be quite frank. This is going to be interesting. I mean, let's start. There might be more that wants to come here. This is what started. And what I realized, so it started here. So we had the arc, which ended up becoming almost like a sun setting in the background. This could be talking about this particular cycle as we start this new moon eclipse, let's say new chapter, because it really is like a new 18, 19-year cycle that we're moving into. There is a sun setting, but there's also a sun rising. So this original arc, which became a sun setting in the background of this scene, which we have yet to interpret, to me is talking about a transition. There's a chapter shifting. The new self emerges, and it is. It is. Now, this started, and it became, with this green pencil, kind of a lacy image. Soft, lacy. But I have to tell you, the image that I'm getting from this, not everybody's going to see this, but what I get from this image right here is a stingray. And in fact, I have my animal totem book here. Let me see if stingray's coming up. Let me see if it's in here. No, it's not. So what I'm going to do, what I'll do, everybody, is as you're watching this video, I'm going to put the description on, but I'm going to look it up. Because for me, this is looking like a stingray. Now, what we know about stingrays is they can be dangerous because they have these, which are not shown here, but they have these like spikes on the end of their tail. And they can, that's how they kill. So they can spike and poison. But they're actually quite friendly, and they're adept. Obviously, they live in water, so they're adept in the emotional realm. They're adept in the intuitive space, the area of life, the modality of human ways of knowing. What I do notice, however, about this image is it's skewed. It's not symmetrical. It's definitely in motion, and it actually looks like he's turning his head. So, and the eyes are not symmetrical. They're more like, Scorp, I mean, it's not, it doesn't look like the healthy stingray. It's not a symmetrical image, and it's not peaceful looking. It looks awake and aware. I wouldn't say panicked or fearful, but almost like that. You know, it's like it's discerning. It's gleaning information. And what I get is that he's turning this stingray, he or she is turning in the water, looking back. And it could be too that this entity, this aspect of you, is turning back, looking at something in the past. Now, the reason why I was giggling at this is because it ended up becoming this form, this brown form, ended up becoming like almost like a caterpillar kind of a creature, riding this yellow, like a focused energy broom or an energy laser beam. For me, this is quite whimsical. And this actually has a whimsy to it too. But he's awake, he's aware, and he's not calm. He's moving, he's looking, he's discerning. There's a discernment here with Stingray. And again, I'm going to put the meaning up on the screen. So Stingray is discerning. Caterpillar is riding his little energy laser beam. And then at the bottom here, this in this kind of cranberry color ended up becoming kind of like a Cheshire Cat smile. So it's almost like with the setting sun, simultaneous rising sun of this chapter, mid-February to mid-March, there's the Cheshire Cat smile. There is an ability to grin and bear it, but more than that. It doesn't feel like you're having to bear something that you don't realize is good for you. I feel that a lot of you are grinning because, and by the way, the smile, this Cheshire Cat smile, is underpinning all of this. So there's almost like a whole narrative going on in your head. In your head, everybody. It's almost like some of you are looking back at a ride that you took, a path that you took, a life that you lived, a chapter that you lived that was fun, that was dynamic, that had a little bit of whimsy to it. And you're smiling about it because there's something that you're remembering from your past or past lives. Because the thing is, past lives in quotes, in the source field, there is no time. There is no time. So past lives, future lives, it's all together. This is all, once we heal self, once we integrate in this mind-body reality, this entity that you're living now, you better believe that all those lives get healed. That's part of the magic, right? So there's much more to say on that. But with this, what I want to say is that during this cycle, with the South Node in Aquarius, with the Aquarian new moon, Sun Moon conjunct, with Juno, with Mercury, this is very, very dynamic. There's a lot of remembering of the deeper aspects of our soul narratives that are ready to be freed, that are ready to live the new life, that are ready to innovate in a new way for the new humanity. It's ready to become the new human. And what it could be, Scorpio, is that there's this stingray vibration, which is looking back, remembering some ride, some chapter, some whimsy, and you're able to have joy with it all. You're able to see it with detachment. That's what I get from the Cheshire smile, is that there's a sense of detachment around it. But up here, again, the face and the eyes almost look a little bit spooked. So for some of you, because some of you this is not going to apply, I don't think. I think some of you have already turned around. You've already seen. But for some of you, you are going to be maybe a little bit spooked or either spooked about past habits, patterns, because you're confronting them. For some of you are going to be confronting stuff for the first time. And it could be that you're a little bit scared to look back. And it could be that that's what this is. For some of you are going to be frightened to turn back around. But if you do turn back around, what kind of lessons had you gleaned? What kind of fun have you actually been able to experience in your other life streams? Because there's two things happening simultaneously with this Aquarian energy. We're understanding past experience or past patterns that have been more traumatic in orientation that are ready to be released. They're ready to be reintegrated into their wholeness, into the wholeness of self. Not, ousted, but reintegrated. And the other aspect is we're actually remembering skill sets, talents, wisdom. And that's what I get. It's almost like there's some level of fear about looking back. But when you ultimately do, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. Some of you are going to get the whimsy and the fun aspect. That life is just a dream. It's a story. You're just holding a narrative. Your soul print, the encoding that you have in this life, it's just a narrative. It's a seed story for growth and evolution. Once you confront it, once you see it, once you know it, you're free. Because then you know what the growth edge is, and you can participate fully. For those of you who want to know your soul print, you can go to my website, thealchemyofholism.com. And for those of you who are interested in becoming a patron and actually working with me monthly, you can see those details below. Okay, beauties, that's what I have for you. Let's go ahead and tap in. I'm going to pull a card this month, and this is what I used to pull when I was doing the alchemy scope. So we're going to pull the Carolyn Mace archetype card for you this month to kind of indicate a core growth edge, natural growth edge for the Scorpio egoic evolutionary journey. This is just the natural cycle. So Scorpio, the battery went out on the camera, even though it was fully charged. So some electric activity there with your reading. So let's go ahead and select a Carolyn Mace archetype card and look what just popped out. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So this is the growth edge for the evolutionary growth for the Scorpio journey over the course of this particular cycle. Alchemist. I love it. So the shadow attribute, what is it that wants to be evolved, matured, confronted, and grown? A misuse of the power and knowledge that comes through spiritual practice. So anything that gets downloaded, that comes through, if there's not the integrity behind what's being spoken, what's coming out, that needs to be up-leveled. What is it that wants to be grown and expressed is a transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. So, Scorpio, this is about you taking the lead, taking the reins, becoming the master of your inner alchemist. Really, okay? So it's the start of this really intense year and this really intense few-year cycle. And what I would say is this feels perfect, especially for this Aquarian energy, the Aquarius new moon, with all of the conjunctions, with all the dynamic activations happening. Really gorgeous, Scorpio. So I'm going to leave it there. For any of you that want to be in contact with me to get clear on your soul print, your evolutionary trajectory, your growth edges, your wound set, so that you can actually see them and reincorporate them, I invite you to be in contact, thealchemyofholism.com. Much love, everybody. See you next month. Bye.